Welcome to the WCC This Week. It is presented by Geico. This is what you see in Portland, Oregon when the rain stops. Beautiful day. We're on the campus of the University of Portland. Our game of the week, the San Diego Toreros and the hometown Portland Pilots. And hello again, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins. Once more, my partner, Casey Jacobson. And Casey, a game today between two very similar teams, play pretty much the same way. This one is all about positioning.
A big game here at the Child Center. Barry, can you believe that we're in the last game of the regular season? The season has just flown by.
It has, in fact.
But San Diego and Portland come into today's matchup with identical 7-10 records. The winner of this game will get the coveted 5 seed in next week's tournament and win a date with the Pepperdine Waves.
It's coveted until you get to Gonzaga.
Exactly.
Then it's not so coveted anymore. Let's take a look at the standings right now in the West Coast Conference. And the Zags, as they have been all season, the top of the heap. They are one shot away from an undefeated season. They had a chance to win at Arizona, lost in overtime. St. Mary's solid in second place, but still could change depending on what happens tonight. BYU in the 3rd seed right now with the Peps, and then Portland and San Diego. The winner of this game will be the 5th seed. Let's take a look at where we would be were the tournament to start today, Casey.
Yeah, and on the left side of the screen, you see those are the play-in games. And San Francisco and Santa Clara, who are at 7-8 right now, want to win today and have a couple of other things happen so they can get off that left side and back onto the right side. But then you look at the right side or the middle of the screen, there's some really intriguing matchups. BYU versus San Diego, Pepperdine, Portland. Ooh, I can't wait to get to Vegas, Barry.
It's going to be a lot of fun. There's no question about that. And there's going to be a lot of positioning going on today on the last day of the regular season. Casey, we talk about how similar these two teams are. For them, it starts in the backcourt.
It's going to be a very interesting matchup today of the backcourts. Let's start at San Diego with Christopher Anderson, the 5'7" lightning quick point guard. He's 8th in the nation in assists at 6.5 per game. You can also do that, steal the ball. He's the all-time leader in steals. He's not a great shooter, but he can hit big shots. And he loves getting a lot of assists to this young man right here, Johnny D. He is the Toreros' all-time leader in points scored and three-pointers made. And this guy's in range as soon as he steps on the bus. I'm sure we'll see a lot of threes today. But don't sleep on Portland's backcourt now. Alec Wintering is having a great sophomore campaign, and he's just as quick. He's averaging 6 assists too, which is 2nd in the WCC behind Christopher Anderson. He's the leader of this team, even though he's only a sophomore, and he gets a lot of assists by passing to this guy, Kevin Bailey. He's a senior, 6'5" shooting guard, and he missed 8 games this season because of a foot injury, but they've needed his scoring. He's leading their team at almost 15 points per contest.
And Bailey, a little bit bigger guard, he can give San Diego a bit of a matchup problem as well. How important is this game? Ask the Portland coach, Eric Reveneau.
The number one thing every time out is just play great basketball, be the team you can be, and just represent yourself well and leave it all on the floor. All those great cliches we have, but this game today, in terms of the ramifications, it's all down to this game for us to put ourselves in position to not play that playing game, and it's not really a playing game; it's part of the tournament. But that extra game in the tournament is really would be a kick in the gut, to put it honestly. I mean, it's just a tough deal, and someone's got to do it, and we'd like to avoid that.
Casey, that's your old coach at Stanford. What a great job he's done here at Portland.
An incredible job here at Portland. He was an assistant coach under Mike Montgomery during my 3 years at Stanford. And Barry, I learned a lot about toughness from this team, from him, and this team is tough just like he is.
Yeah, in fact, as these teams are alike, so too are the coaches. Billy Greer, the coach at San Diego, very similar to Eric Reveneau. They're both teachers. They both get overachieving kinds of athletes, and they get everything out of their athletes. That's the bottom line of this game. Over-under, I'd say about 120. Kelly and the coach coming up. Yes, very photogenic. Jeez, we're coming back.
Welcome back to WCC This Week in Los Angeles. I'm Kelly Tennant alongside the coach, Dave Miller. Hello,
Hi,
Coach.
Kelly.
How's it going? All right, let's get to some conference highlights from earlier this week. We start with San Diego at Gonzaga. Mark Few and the Zags have already secured a third straight WCC regular season title. Zags' first possession of the game, Kevin Pangos pulls up and hits the three. Skipping ahead to the second half, big man Shemet Karnowski in the post hits the pretty left-handed hook, and the Zags go up 32-23. Moments later, Brandon Perry gets open under the basket and finishes the two-hand slam. USD down 34-25 after a couple USD jumpers. Domantas Sabonis gets the ball in the post, loses the defender, and lays it in and one. Coach, this guy's ridiculous.
Well, I love the patience, the poise, and the drop step to the baseline.
San Diego trying to keep it close. Duda Sanadze misses the three, but Thomas Jacobs is there with the huge putback dunk. It becomes a 5-point game. The Zags were just too much down the stretch. Karnowski again in the post. He finished with 14 points. Zags go on to win it 59-39. And then BYU at Portland. Portland hosting BYU last time these two met. They were going to triple overtime with Portland winning first half. Tyler Haas with the cut and lay-in with those 2 points. Haas becomes the all-time leading scorer in BYU history. Portland up 3. Alec Wintering drives past the BYU defender and scores with ease. Portland up 5. Second half, BYU up 4. Kyle Collinsworth with a nice defensive play here, knocking the ball down twice, starts the fast break and finds Haas, who finishes with the lay-in. BYU up 6. BYU up 2. Collinsworth finds Skylar Halford this time. He drills a three-pointer. He would finish with 19 points. BYU running away with this one up 11. Haas lays this one in to close it out. Haas would finish with 21 points, and BYU would go on to win 82-69. And Jimmer Fredette tweeting, "Congrats to Tyler Haas for breaking the record. Such a great kid and a basketball player. Proud of the way he has handled himself. Hashtag BYU family." I think it's fair to say this was a ridiculous and huge accomplishment for Tyler Haas, Coach.
Well, he's one of the most complete offensive players I've seen in a long time. I mean, when you look at his overall game, Kelly, he can score in transition. He's got the mid-range game, and he can stretch it from three. I mean, when you talk about an elite scorer with that clutch gene, that's what Haas is. And he knows how to get fouled, and he does such a great job of being able to get to the free throw line. And then when you think about it, he reads screens as well as anybody. There's an art to that. When you want to get somewhere, take your man opposite. Know when to curl, know when to flare, know when to straight cut. This kid really had a strong foundation before he got to BYU, and Dave Rose has just let him blossom.
He's letting him blossom, and the team as a whole. How do you see BYU at this point?
Well, I think right now they're trending in the right direction because they can score with anybody. We've seen that. But defensively, they're getting better in terms of making that tournament run in Vegas and then hopefully being able to punch that ticket to get to the big dance.
Well, they continue to improve. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next highlight that we have. Pacific at Santa Clara. Brandon Clark and the Broncos looking for their second straight win. Broncos down 13-10. Clark drives and floats it in. It's a 1-point game. Second half now. Tigers up 33-30. David Taylor hits the three. Pacific goes up 6. And moments later, Eric Thompson gets open under the basket and slams it home. Tigers starting to pull away. Thompson with a strong post-up game. Pacific goes on to win 64-57. And then St. Mary's at San Francisco. Second to last game for Coach Randy Bennett and the second-place Gales. St. Mary's up 3 in the first. Garrett Jackson grabs the loose ball, is off running. He would take flight on the other end for the dunk, Coach.
Well, you know what his nickname is, KT? Action Jackson.
I like it. He finished with 26. Senior Kerry Carter also had a great game. He was especially hot from beyond the arc. First two came early in the half, another one later in the half, but then Aaron Bright finds Carter surprisingly open on the outside for another three. He finished with 18 points, and the Gales get the win 84-53. So here's what the conference standings look like. The number 3 team in the country, Gonzaga, still at the top of the standings. St. Mary's is in second, followed by the BYU Cougars.
for the first time since he had brain surgery. Andrew Pappenfuss.
Pain goes to Sabonis, and he throws it down. 3 seconds. Wintering for a 3. And wins it! Game over!
As you can see, it's been a good year in the WCC, so let's take a look at the top 5 plays from this season. Number 5, BYU hosting Pacific. Kyle Collinsworth gets creative with this inbounds pass, passing it to himself of the Pacific defender. This would lead to one of Collinsworth's 5 triple-doubles on the season, an NC2A record. And number 4, Gonzaga taking on Pepperdine. Domantas Sabonis collects the rebounds and then throws down a monster jam. What can this kid not do, Coach?
Well, I like the two-hand grab, the crab dribble, the collective finish. I know what he can't do, play like a freshman.
Not at all. One of the most mature guys you will ever see on the court. Number 3, LMU at Santa Clara. Mir Mornar just soars over the Santa Clara defender for the dunk. Looking good.
Well, I love the pump fake, but money, you only need one dribble. Make your dribble take you somewhere. I need efficiency.
Efficiency, name of the game for you. Number 2, LMU at San Francisco. 2 days later, the Lions would find themselves down 1 in the final seconds when Evan Payne able to tip home this shot for the win. This guy does everything. And number 1, Portland at home versus Pacific. Alec Wintering with the ball with just seconds left. Hits the three-pointer, and Portland would win it by 3.
Well, you got to be on him like white on rice. Big shot, big winner. The Pilots are soaring.
I love this. The way the crowd jumps up was amazing.
I tell you what's phenomenal. The crowd loves it, but as a player, you dream playing AAU high school basketball, being able to hit that shot in college and then for some in the pros, but that's something that kid will never, ever forget. And trust me, 10 years from now, he'll have that DVD and he'll throw it in and it'll bring back those great memories of his collegiate experience.
When he's old like us and he's trying to be young still.
Old like one of us.
All right, it's time for us to take a closer look at one of the coaches in our Game of the Week, Coach Dave Miller, with San Diego's Bill Greer in a little segment we like to call Coach versus Coach.
Coach, you're on the hot seat. Coach versus Coach. Best player you've ever coached?
Here or when I was an assistant?
Best player ever?
Blake Stepp, Johnny, both very good.
Best player in the WCC?
Right now, Tyler Haas.
Away from San Diego, toughest place to play in the conference?
BYU.
What's your favorite non-basketball activity?
Paddleboard.
Favorite person to follow on Twitter?
Well, I'm on it, but I don't follow.
One person, dead or alive, that you'd love to have lunch with?
Alive, Michael Jordan.
What superstitions do you have game day?
Really not a superstitious guy. I'm not.
If you had one superpower, what would it be?
Read minds.
If you weren't a basketball coach, what would you be doing right now?
I don't know, maybe an architect?
Biggie or Tupac?
Big E.
My hair or Johnny D's old hair?
Johnny D's old hair, definitely.
Coach, you're off my hot seat.
I like your hair better, Coach. Coming up on WCC this week, we'll take a closer look at the Portland Pilots and explain why Coach Reveneau continues to have big expectations. Time for our WCC Player of the Week. Kyle Wilcher out of Gonzaga. He poured it on against Pacific, scoring 45 points in the game. That's the third most in school history. He followed it up with 16 points in a win against St. Mary's. Our Game of the Week features the Portland Pilots. Being a former center, Coach Eric Reveneau knows the importance of utilizing the guys inside and preaches that to his team. The players have bought into his message and are working together to make their presence felt around the WCC. Here's the very talented Amanda Blackwell with the story.
At Portland, there are 5 guys on the basketball team who tower over the rest. They are the bigs. It's a term commonly used around basketball to describe front court players, but what comes along with that title of big?
Somebody that takes control of their role. It doesn't always necessarily mean that you put up big numbers, but it's just embracing your role and just play to your best of your abilities and play big, play bigger than you are.
You really have to compete because, a lot of times you're up against bigger, stronger guys, and you just need to compete and play hard.
We're supposed to be physical, tough, the ones who attack the glass and rebound every single time, get up and down the floor, be the first one down there to post up, and just kind of get in there and muck it up a little bit.
Thomas Vandermars is from the Netherlands, Voldy Garoon from the Ukraine, Riley Barker comes from Canada, Philip Hartvich from Germany, and Gabe Taylor is a local guy from Portland. The 5 come from all over the world to make up the Pilot Bigs and are an important part of Coach Eric Reveneau's system.
I feel like our bigs are the cornerstone of a lot of what we do. What I love about them as a group is their ability to run the floor and their ability to play at a good pace. They play well fast, they can bang, they can provide a defensive presence. Their versatility and flexibility is what makes them so good as a group.
Coach Reveneau has had some success with forwards and centers over the years with players like Luke Sikma and Ryan Nicholas. And it's no coincidence. Reveneau was a big man himself at Stanford, and that background helps him as a coach.
I like to consider myself a basketball coach first and foremost, but I did learn to be a basketball coach by first learning the post position, and now you apply that to other positions in terms of footwork and the way you think about it and the way you teach. Especially in recruiting, I think the credibility. I come walking into the home and someone says, oh, he's 6, he gets it, and so I'm not above using that to my advantage and say, yeah, no, I really understand.
He was a rough and tough basketball player. He wasn't necessarily bigger than the guys that he played against, but he played with a grit and scored inside no matter what, and that's what I've been trying to do, and that's what kind of rubs off on all of us when we're trying to learn how to score inside.
There's a lot of programs out there that don't really utilize their bigs. So Coach Rev really seeks us opportunities to involve their bigs, play an inside-out game.
These 5 players may have come to the University of Portland from all over the world, but this group of bigs has certainly found a home here with each other.
We're all international except Gabe, so it's kind of like a bond, just being European or being international, we just kind of stick together.
I do think they've got sort of an offensive lineman mentality, like their sense of humor. They go at their own speed on certain things, and they tend to be the analytical of the group, the rational of the group. They do have a certain personality traits that I think are common among them.
We're pretty close, but at the same time, we know when we get on the court, we want to get after it, and we want to push each other so that all of us get better.
Vandermars, Barker, and Garoon are seniors, while Hartvich and Taylor are just freshmen. And the upperclassmen have made it their mission to leave their legacy on the Portland program by helping the younger teammates to become the best they can be.
Our senior big guys have probably done as good a job mentoring and helping the younger big guys as any player relations I've seen in all my years.
I wasn't really sure that I can be a freshman and just start and play a lot of minutes, so it's kind of cool to just stay behind, learn a little bit, get a little bit of playing time here and there, but especially learn.
We're just trying to give these guys an experience and get them to learn as much as they can from us before we move on, because when we move on, they're going to have to fill some big shoes, and that's what they got to do.
When I'm going to graduate, I'm going to make sure that the guys that just came in and they're going to come in, know what it means to be a big guy in this program and what it means to take care of your role.
They're good, smart kids. They should be fine. They want to learn. They want to play good basketball. They want to help the team. So I think they're going to be good.
For the WCC This Week, I'm Amanda Blackwell.
Thomas Vandermars is a success both on and off the court. He was a third-team academic All-American last season and earned first-team honors this season. He finished his undergrad in just 3 years and is currently in graduate school working on his MBA, where he has a 4.0 GPA. He's on pace to graduate this May. Congrats to him and making us all look bad. You can catch our game of the week, San Diego at Portland, coming up next. LMU in Malibu taking on Pepperdine at 3. Big game tonight at 7 p.m. BYU taking on Gonzaga. A lot on the line for the Cougars. A lot on the line, Coach. So what is your key for the game of the week?
Well, the key for Portland, Kelly, is they've got to play defense. And yes, I'm talking about defending Johnny D. Johnny D may get his 20 points, but the key is making him a volume shooter. He's got to go 7 for 19 from the field overall, 3 for 11 from behind the stripe, and then you can't foul him and put him on the line. The other thing is, we just looked at that great segment by Amanda on the bigs. They've got to dominate the paint. They're going to have all they can handle with Coke inside, but if you know about Reveno, he's going to run, trying to get easy scores inside. No go. Go out to your 4 out, 1 in, and pound it inside. This game will be won in the paint and not letting Johnny D get off.
You make it sound so easy, Coach.
Simple, easier said than done.
Good work. That's it for me and Coach. We'll get you back to the Child Center in Portland.
What a great day to get 7 of your closest friends. Grab your skull, go for a little row on the Willamette River here in Portland. It is senior day as we prepare for our game of the week, San Diego and Portland, and the Pilots saying goodbye to a handful of seniors. A couple of bigs too, Garoon and Vandermars. And Vandermars, what a great story. We'll tell you a little bit more about that. Hi again, everybody. Barry Tompkins, Casey Jacobson alongside. We're going to talk about the X Factors. Before we do, how about Vandermars? He graduates in May with a master's degree.
Yeah, and it was just announced yesterday that he's a first-team academic All-American after last year being a third-team academic All-American.
Not unlike ourselves.
No, I was never on one of those teams, Barry.
And a master's? Are you kidding? Let's talk about the X Factors in this game.
For San Diego, I'm going with Brandon Perry. The 6'7" sophomore is Torero's best scoring threat in the low post. He's got a big body, but more importantly, he uses it very well. He only averages 6 points, which isn't a lot, but he only averages 13 minutes a game, so he's very efficient. And they're going to need a big game from Perry to be aggressive today and go at Portland's bigs. And speaking of Portland's bigs, my X factor for the Pilots is 6'11" center Thomas Vandermars. We were just talking about him. It's senior day this afternoon, and Vandermars is looking to close out a great career with another win here at the Child Center, and they're going to need his production. He leads his team in rebounds and blocks. but he's also a focal point of their offense, and they're going to need to get him the ball early and often in this game.
And once again, the bottom line of this game is all about positioning for the tournament. That starts next week. The winner, we know, is going to be the number 5 seed.
Yeah, they both come in with identical records, but there's a lot on the line. The winner of this game is going to play Pepperdine in the WCC tournament in Las Vegas next week. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and as we said, every game today on this final week of the regular season is going to matter so far as where everybody is seated. You don't want to have to play in that play-in game, and that's still a possibility here today. So it's San Diego and Portland in our West Coast Conference Game of the Week. This has been the WCC This Week.